Now, of course, not long to go before the Women's Euros, Euro 2025, and that whole tournament this summer is live on talkSPORT, so you won't miss a trick, and there'll be plenty of big results that might take us by surprise. Who knows, England might go all the way. We'll watch it with interest, we'll listen with interest. But here's the thing, the goalkeeper Mary Earps yesterday took many people by surprise, including her head coach, Sarina Wiegman, and her England teammates by announcing her retirement from international football with immediate effect. Now, why has she done it at this particular time with, as I say, less than 40 days to go until the tournament itself? And of course, Mary Earps would have played a part, no doubt, in that tournament. I'm delighted to say Kathryn Batte, who broke the story about Mary Earps calling time in her international career, the Telegraph's women's football reporter. Kathryn joins us live on this. Kathryn, there's been a lot of fallout to this following your story. Many people are reading it along the lines of, well, why has she done it? And why has she done it now? Has she really thrown her toys out the pram just a month away from the Women's Euros? Is there anything to suggest that isn't on the money, and that is why she's done it? She's thrown her toys out the pram for some reason.
Well, from what we understand, Mary Earps was told that she was not going to be the number one goalkeeper going into the tournament, that she was going to be number two to Hannah Hampton, and took the decision that she didn't want to go to the tournament as the number two. Obviously, Mary was number one at the Euros in 2022. She was number one at the World Cup and did very well. And for the last kind of year or so, maybe just less, her and Hannah Hampton have kind of been battling for that number one spot. We've seen Sarina Wiegman give them a game each, usually in international camps. And when that changed was in April. So Hannah Hampton played both games against Belgium, and she actually admitted that Hannah Hampton was a little bit ahead. But it still kind of felt like it wasn't kind of a done deal, that there was still kind of a competition to be had there. But we think, there's been a conversation between Wiegman and Earps that's suggested that as it stands, but unless an injury to Hannah Hampton happens, she wasn't going to be the number one, and has decided that that's the best time to call it on her national career.
Kathryn, I was looking at Mary Earps and what she said in what was a short statement, suggesting that she was retiring to give younger goalkeepers a chance. She says, for me, ultimately, this is the right time to step aside and give the younger generation an opportunity to thrive. Do you believe that?
I think if that was the overwhelming factor, I think she could have done that a long time ago. I don't think she needed to do it 5 weeks before the Euros, because you look at the goalkeepers that are behind Hannah Hampton now, Anna Moorhouse and Chiara Keating as the second and third choice. Neither of them have been capped. Now, that's not Mary Earps' fault. That's Sarina Wiegman hasn't, given the third and fourth choice goalkeepers any game time. So now they're in a position where if Hannah Hampton does get injured, the people behind her have not only not played at a major tournament, but they've not played for England. So you'd be throwing in a real rookie. And, I struggle to kind of believe that was the motivating factor. I think maybe it's just one of, potentially a few reasons, but it was kind of a strange part of the statement, I thought.
Yeah.
How is there a backlash on it? Because I think if it was, I remember Scholesy finishing with England because he was sick of being pushed to the left and not playing every game and the level of player he was and things. Yeah. Shearer retired early, I know that for different reason, but I think there'd be a huge backlash if one of the men's, Ben White got hammered for for the fact that he pulled out of the squad in the Euros, and
yes,
is there similar backlash in the women's game to Mary Earps doing this, or has she got a bit more support? I actually don't mind it. I understand it.
I think Danny's question is a good one, Kathryn, before we go any further, because it's understood that Wiegman and the players were unhappy with her decision to call time.
Yeah, I think it's split. I think the player group is split because I think a lot of them get on very well with Mary, but a lot of them also felt like the timing was really, really poor. As we say, 5 weeks before the Euros. From what we understand, Sarina was furious. I think the timing, I think she knew making the decision now was going to detract from, the team and everything else. And I think as soon as Mary Earps made that decision, it was always going to create a storm. And she was so popular with the England fan base that I think she has retained quite a lot of support, and there will be people in her corner. But equally, I think people realise that it's a very bad timing to make the decision, and some people view it as potentially selfish. I think it is. I think it is split between the fans and also in the dressing room on those kind of 2 points.
I mean, the build up to a tournament, Dan, is all important.
Yeah, but
and if she's caused this disquiet amongst the squad and amongst the fan base, how can you be with it?
Well, I'd say to the other players, get on with it. Look after yourself. Don't worry about what other people are doing. That's for sure. In terms of her own... Look, if she feels that being number 2 after being so good and being the number 1 for so long, that her presence there is going to be negative, then you could say it's unselfish. Depends which way you look at it. I would understand it if a really top player who's played for England and won tournaments in the men's game, and then he was pushed out and he still thinks he's good enough, says, you know what, not for me.
Do you think we'll see her there, Kathryn, supporting England?
I would be surprised if we maybe saw her on the television, potentially. I don't know if those kind of lineups have been confirmed, or whether somebody looks to try and bring her in as a pundit, whether that's something she'd want to do. I think she'd be very good at it, and I'm sure she'd have a lot to say. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw her. I don't know whether we'll see her in the stand or not. She's obviously kind of not really said what her plans kind of are beyond this. Obviously, she's still playing at club level.
Kathryn, in your opinion, is the fact that she's not number 1 valid in terms of this season's performances?
I think they're two, not to sound like Sarina Wiegman herself, but they're two very, very good goalkeepers, and it was an incredibly difficult decision. I just think Wiegman's picked Hampton on the distribution element. It's difficult because Mary Earps has gone and played for PSG this season, and we don't get to see much of French football, and they got knocked out of the Champions League very early, so we've not really seen her much at club level, whereas we watch Hannah Hampton pretty much every week for Chelsea, and we know she's had a fantastic season. So it's quite hard to kind of say how fair it is based on the club level.
Yeah.
On international level, I don't think Mary Earps has made many mistakes. I think there's been a couple of moments where Hannah Hampton has looked a little bit uncomfortable, but I think as a young goalkeeper, you always have them. And I think England would be okay with whoever was in. I think it was a really, really tight decision, but I can understand why Mary would feel that she hasn't done anything wrong to lose that start, why she'd be annoyed at losing it.
Well, the fact of the matter is, Kathryn, it was your story and you were ahead of the rest, because many of them still following it up today in a variety of different publications. Kathryn, thank you very much indeed. And don't forget the Euros, the Women's Euros 2025, live throughout on talkSPORT.